Welcome back, everyone. This is Frank Whiskey Charlie 0 Oscar. This is the FT-857D deployed mobily. And right now, I'm recording the audio coming in and out so that you can get a sense of when I do HF, how it sounds. A lot of the times when we first use the radio, it just sounds too noisy. And there are ways to control that audio. Okay, so let's move the dial here. Well, first let's increase the volume just a little bit. And the dial here, of course, you can change the frequency. And it looks like it's going a little slow, so I can just press on the power button, and then the running man goes on. So I can dial more and faster. You can see that the screen is changing color. Sometimes it's light, it's a more green, and sometimes it's about an orange. And what's happening is that as I'm going through the frequencies, the S level, if you use the select button, you can round the numbers. There we go.
Okay, sir, thank you. On a temporary antenna, it's too hot to do antenna work right now. We'll have to wait 2.5 months or so. Good to hear everybody. 73, and thanks for the signal.
As you can see, you get an S9 above the noise, and when they don't speak, the S level goes down, and the color of the screen goes green when the S level goes down. And that, of course, is menu operation number 41, the display color. It's selected so that it could do several features like this, where it, as the S level goes up, the screen will become more red. So this gives you an indication, a visual indication of how the signal is. And also you can do it for the SWR. We'll talk that a little bit later. Okay, but the volume here, right? This is the volume knob. The bottom part over here, this bottom part of this knob, right, is going to be our RF, right? The radio frequency gain. And as you do clockwise, more gain goes to the antenna. And right now it's all the way to the right. But as you know, the more gain you put the antenna, or more volume, the more distorted the audio might become. So a lot of the times you have to just bring it down back, especially if you want to enhance the weak signals, because sometimes the weak signals are enhanced when you lower down the gain. So here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the bottom knob here counterclockwise, and as you can see, you can probably hear it. Watch. You see how you see that the noise, you can hear the noise. The noise went away because I'm not amplifying the background noise, and I can barely hear. To increase the volume, I can hear the person speaking, which is something that you might have to do. Right? And what's happening is, for the RF gain, as I'm going more counterclockwise, it increases the AGC voltage, which causes the front end gain to be reduced, right? But what's happening is sometimes when you reduce the gain, the background noise is not as loud, and then you can hear the person speak, and you can increase the volume. You might be hearing a little bit of cracking sound, and that's because of the way this is being recorded. That's pretty good, right? Now, if we leave it the way it was, where we increase the gain, Of course, they get loud.
Much like everybody else. Just tickling
They get
in
loud, but
and,
the volume also goes up, right? But because I'm increasing the gain, also the background starts to be loud too. So a lot of times you have to balance this RF, balance it to the point where it's more comfortable for you to hear in the background, so the background noise won't be as loud. Now, remember, don't forget, headphones are very important. When you're doing portable operations or mobile operations, I think you're going to be very, very pleased by using some headphones. And also, different headphones will give you different sound as well. Okay, so just doing that really helps. Now, there is some noise in the background. This person that's speaking is an S9 or an S9 Plus, so we can hear them. Okay, we're going to lower this down. Hopefully they keep talking. Let's press this function button once. Just press it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at other settings here. For example, let's see. Right here. I guess we can go here. Okay, so there's the AGC, right? The AGC is something that you should leave on all the time, right? AGC, for me, what AGC does, it controls kind of like the loudness. If there's too much gain, like really too loud, it brings down that loudness. Now let's see. Watch. Let's see if it does anything. I'm gonna disengage the AGC.
Well, Dick, a very good afternoon to you. And your 101D is doing just a super job. And which facility were you working at on avionics? Over.
Yeah, we started in the avionics lab at Learjet, and of course there we worked on
You hear
all
it?
the different brands of equipment.
It's
I
cracking.
always liked working on the Collins equipment the best. And then Collins put in a repair
See, I'm putting the
facility
gain
at
all the way up.
airport. So,
And look at the thing is now green. But that crackling sound is horrible.
I'm sure you had a wonderful
Right?
career there.
Now I'm going to press the AGC. It now controls that loud gain. All right. So you got to play around with it. If I disengage the AGC, it's going to crackle. I'm getting an S1 now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
If I
well, thank you for checking in. I know you've checked in before.
lower down the
We're here
volume.
every Sunday. Don't be a stranger. We'd love to hear you again. I'll say 7-3 and say stay cool.
Manually, I could do it,
W2 ATF for the call.
but I think
Other check-ins from the 10th call
AGC
area
helps
come
me
now?
a lot, and I can increase the gain without really getting that very loud background sound. So that's definitely a great thing to have. Okay, let's press the function button. And this is what they call the Collins filter. This is the filter that you can buy separately. I don't hear anybody speaking. So let's move the dial over. Sometimes when you have the running man, you pass it too fast. Let's go to 14.3. There it is.
Roger, this is Kilo Oscar 4.
This is the Maritime Mobile Net.
You didn't fade away on me. I reached out to engage the end.
Okay, let's see if we can hear a difference.
I'm on instead of 300.
Did you see how the noise changed while I was moving the dial counterclockwise? This is more gain.
Well, I appreciate that. I've
Less
got you in the
gain.
log. You sound great. I hate
More volume.
things like that.
Right? Sounds pretty good. Now, I'm going to press the C-fill. This is the ceramic filter. Let's see if you can hear a difference.
I'm sitting in the room and I don't have the
Hold
main
on.
light on and my eyes aren't as good as they used to, so I start pushing and turning, and next thing I know, I'm someplace I didn't expect to be. I appreciate
Not a very
you
great
picking me
example,
up.
is it?
Again,
Let's see.
I've got you
2.3.
5-9 plus 10.
Collins.
Huntsville, Alabama, 7-3. Good luck with
Yeah,
the
it
rest of
sounds
the day.
different, doesn't it?
All right, sir. Well, Tracy, you are 5'9"
Ceramic.
coming into San Antonio. Your audio is absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for being here. And you know you're always welcome. I'll say 7-3. You be safe and stay well.
Oh, yeah.
Clear with Kilo Oscar 4 Bravo Lima Echo and net regular. Tracy, thank you, sir, in Huntsville. I love people down there. I love that town. It's really a nice place. I used to go there a lot. I had
Ceramic.
I was actually, long story, working there on and off way overseas for them. Kilo
Crystal.
5 Mike Victor, thanks, Tracy. Rich 5 out for your Foxtrot. My brother John, how are you doing, sir? Over.
I'm doing all right, Mike. I heard you on here just thought I'd check in. Over.
Well, I appreciate that. It's always good to hear you. I'm sorry I didn't get out yesterday and get that paper you needed, but I hope
There's a difference. Question is, do you really
can
need
hang
it?
in there with them, over.
No.
I got you
But it
there.
does make a
That's all right,
difference
though, buddy. Anyway, I just
in
heard you
audio.
thought I'd
Let's
check
press the
in.
function
No
button.
traffic.
There's one other thing that I have not pressed. A couple of things. Here's the DNR, right?
All right,
Which
Mike,
is
we'll
the
catch you later.
noise reduction. Let's press it. Another thing to reduce that background noise, and if you reduce the gain, increase the volume.
Well, I appreciate that, Phil. It's always good to hear you, and good to talk to you today. I hope you're doing okay.
Roger that. Doing great. Signatories to you and everyone on
No DNR.
All right, 7-3. Still be safe and stay
It
well.
sounds,
Clear with
you know,
Kilo
DNR.
Oscar 4 Hotel Lima
Sometimes
Zulu.
you don't have to press the noise reduction
Yeah, I still got time.
because I don't know. Sometimes it might interfere with the person's voice.
I got plenty of time.
Okay, and then the notch filter. I'm not sure what the notch filter does. Supposedly, you know, those spurious noises won't come up as often.
Kilo Zulu number 5, Mike Victor, over.
Okay, then let's press the function button again. And there's one other thing that I'm looking for, or a few other things.
Yes, sir. And I'm going to
IPO.
need yours as well. My call
Now,
sign is
right now, I'm
Kilo
going to lower this down a little bit.
Zulu
Right now,
number
the
5.
preamp is turned on. And when you have the preamp turned on, of course it's going to boom the audio as well, right? And they say that if, you know, the lower frequencies, you need to pump up the preamp. Like, you know, you're at the 180, 80 meter band. But as your frequency, right, or your band, the higher bands, as you go to the higher bands, you don't need the preamp anymore. 20 meters, unfortunately, which I've been reading and I think I understand. 20 meters is in that gray area where you could put it on or not. So right now, I'm going to increase. I'm going to increase the gain of the antenna. and then increase the audio volume. Now I'm going to get rid, so when I press the IPO, right, when I press the IPO again, there should be an eye icon that will display. When I press it too. The IPO is to bypass the preamp, and as long as the S meter is moving on the background noise, additional front end gain is not necessary. And as you can see, the background, it's really hard to tell the background noise here. Let's move a little bit away. Man, it's pretty busy today. But right here, oh, somebody's talking. Okay, you can see the bands going up and down. Now, that's because the preamp is turned on, and in the manual it says if it's going up and down, you don't need the preamp. So when I press this button, it tempered it. The background noise went down. Isn't that pretty incredible? And look, I don't know if this is always the case, but look, the S meter is not moving up and down as much. All right, let's go back to the Maritime Mobile Net.
Already sounds good. Well, you've got a line of stations out there, so I won't keep you long. Michael, is it? You prefer Michael?
Mike is what I go by.
Have a great day.
Look at that. The S meter even
Glenn,
went down.
you're a 10 over, Glenn, into San
Let's
Antonio.
disengage the IPO, meaning the preamp is going to be on.
Anything, I go by a lot of things. I've been called a lot of things. Not necessarily I gotta call them. Anyway, thanks.
Again, that refines the background noise,
Kilo 7,
lower down
November.
the antenna volume, antenna gain, the RF, lower it down, increase the audio.
Mike Victor. John, how are you doing? Over.
Although there seems to be a hissing sound in the background, right? Let's punch in this function button. I'm not sure where that's coming from. The DNR? Yep, got rid of that hiss. But you're putting all these filters, you're putting all these things. It really also mutters the audio a little bit, I think. If you get rid of the DNR, the DNF, get rid of those.
John, thank you. You can say
Right now,
and we'll talk to you as soon
IPO is on because the icon is on there. That seems to be okay.
Thanks, John. Kilo Zulu 5, Mike Victor. I am the incoming net control. I'm going to abbreviate the preamble. Is anyone with emergency medical target traffic?
I'm trying to look for. Sometimes these things go very quick. There's the AGC again.
All right, it's Kilo Zulu 5, Mike Victor. My name is Mike. I'm on the San Antonio, Texas State Metropolitan.
Lower that down.
7 miles south and east of downtown San Antonio at a little town called Livonia. I'm the control station for this hour.
Let's get rid of the AGC here.
I will be taking general check-ins. I'm going to look for
the gain, of course, is
mobile, portable, low power stations
counterclockwise.
And it's going to be
But if I increase this,
extended pause.
it just makes it distorts the audio too much if I put up the gain. Automatic gain control, way more better. See
We're
that?
just trying to give everybody time to get to the
increase
radio.
the gain,
This is
the
Kilo
audio
Zulu
doesn't
5,
distort.
Mike Victor, are there any maritime mobiles, overseas deployed service warriors?
Okay, it's almost 3 o'clock their time. And what I want to do is I want to, let's see if we can find a POTA activator out there.
Yankee Mike along with Kilo Foxtrot Radio Bravo, calling CQ Parks on the air for park number 1901 in Florida. Standing by.
Whiskey Charlie 0 Oscar.
Whiskey Charlie 0 Oscar, 257. It's a park number 1901 in Florida. If you stand by, I have another operator.
Roger, Roger. You're a 5757 over here in Charlie Alpha, QSO. There's some QR Nancy. Can you come back to me? One more time, please. Roger, Roger. Thank you very much, and have a great activation in 73. Okay. Did you notice that when I was talking to them, the S meter, of course, went down because it wasn't measuring S meter. It was measuring the SWR, because this button is pressed right now, the SWR button, and the color went green because the SWR readings are right now very low. If the SWR was high, then you would get a much darker color, like an orange to a red. Now I'm going to move over to a frequency. I'm going to move over here. Somewhere where nobody's speaking. And instead of SWR, I'm going to put power. And right now I'm doing about 80 watts. So let's see if it registers the power. Is anyone using this frequency? Whiskey Charlie 0 Oscar. Is anyone using this frequency? Whiskey Charlie 0 Oscar. And as you can see, when I transmit it, the screen went from green, which is low, and then as the power went up, the color changed into a more red color, indicating to me that it's it's transmitting close to 80 watts, right? Because as you speak, it doesn't do 100 watts or whatever it is, 80 watts completely. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk about is the automatic level control. Now to find that, we press the function button, and I think it's I or something. Yes. So now let's look at the automatic level control, which would be this button here, ALC. Now the automatic level control basically controls the signal magnitude on SSB, and I think an AM also. Basically, it's the speech waveform that is like analyzing and controlling. Now, the ALC reduces the RF gain in the final amplifier stage in this radio. Now, it will reduce the RF gain if two things happen. One, the microphone gain is too high because you're speaking too loud, and so it will counteract that higher gain. And also, if the SWR is too high, it will protect the amp, right? The final amp, so it won't overheat. That's what the automatic level control will do. So it'll try to manage the mic gain if it's too high, or maybe something is too loud or something, or the very high SWR. So let's see how this radio is set up, right? If it's let's see how it's measuring the ALC. Now the meter, you'll see the meter over here on the left. It's going to say ALC, and of course the higher the ALC, the more distortion. All right, let's see. Is anyone using this frequency? Is anyone using this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Is anyone using this frequency? Is anyone using this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. And as you can see, it got really orange really quick and really fast. Orange and red. Charlie, Whiskey, Charlie. Something like really strong in the audio, in my voice. So that people will tell you that you sounded distorted, or there's an echo, or you're crackling, and so that's something that you need to take into consideration. So what can we do? Well, one thing is to lower down the mic gain. So let's do that. And so you press and hold here, and you go to, what is it, 81 or something? Yes. As you can see, my mic gain is pretty high. And in this example I was demonstrating, I was speaking very loud. But if I speak in normal voice, I'm going to lower this down to about 35, let's say. All right, the mic gain to 35. I'm going to press and hold the function button, because if I don't, it won't set. Okay, so we're going to try this again. You can see the ALC is going to be measured when I transmit. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. And as you can see, it definitely tampered or tamped down some of my voice, right? And I don't know, maybe I was kind of loud there. Let's try this again. I didn't hear anybody respond to me. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. As you can see, there's certain words that the ALC is really trying to tamp down again. And power-wise, let's look at this. If we look at the power is at like 95 or 90 watts. Let's see how based on my voice, let's see how the power is fluctuating. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. As you can see, the gauge is only going like a third of the way, maybe half. And unfortunately, I don't have an external meter to measure that. If we had to guess, that's probably not 100 watts. Then again, you're not expecting your radio to be throwing out 100 watts continuously. It has to be processed. Okay. So, is there a way to even control your ALC a little bit more on voice? And we can. So let's put that back on ALC. And we're going to go into something called AF speech processor, which increases your average power output while operating on SSB and AM mode. Okay, so that's on multifunction C. Let's see. Press once on the function button. Let's go to C. There it is. And here's your proc, which is your processor, AF speech processor. Now I'm going to press and hold. Takes me to menu 74. The processor level at the moment is 25, and you can switch this. But of course, you got to also be careful, not to put too much AF speech processor, because it might affect the overall sound of your voice. You have to have a buddy on the other side to really hear what's going on. Okay, To set this value, you got to press and hold on the function button. All right. It's not turned on yet, so let's press it once, and now it's tapped down. Because we are in ALC mode, when we speak, we'll be able to see it here, even though we're in a different menu. Okay, let's find out. And I don't hear anybody. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. ALC looks pretty good, doesn't it? Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Now, I did that on purpose. Said Charlie so that it see if it tamps down the ALC. And it looks like it did. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Okay, that's really nice. Let's go to click on function button, and instead of the metering ALC, let's do the power. Let's see what it does. Let's see what the AF speech processor, if the gauge over here on power gave it a little more or not. I don't know. Listening to the radio, I don't hear anybody. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Looks like the same to me. It's going to be I'm definitely going to look at the meter. Get a meter and see what it is, how much power am I really getting out of this. Now, perhaps I can increase my, maybe I can increase my, what do you call that? Gain, mic gain. Let's increase that. Let's go to 50%. Let's go a little bit above. Let's go to 60%. Click and hold. Give me a little more. Now I'm measuring power still. Listening. Don't hear anybody, but is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Well, it looks like the needle is moving a little bit more. I wasn't really loud or excited in any way. Okay, let's look at SWR. No. We know SWR is working. ALC. That's the whole point on this video. The automatic level control again. Let's see if it's getting into the red. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Well, you can see that increasing the mic gain is going to probably give you a little distortion or definitely somebody's going to say something doesn't sound quite right. Okay, press and hold on the function. I'm going to lower down the mic gain. I'll probably put it at 42. Press and hold on the function button to make sure that's set. Again, listening to see if I hear anybody. No. Let's try this again. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. That looked like it was tapped. That kept it under control. Now I'm going to be a little bit more louder because just to see where this goes. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. So there's certain words that definitely make I'm almost like very loud there, moving the ALC, but it's really controlling a lot of my voice. Now, let's look at the power, and I'm going to speak a little bit louder than usual. Listening over here, if anybody, I can't hear anybody. Okay, let's try this again. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey, Charlie, 0, Oscar. Is anyone on this frequency? Is anyone on this frequency? Whiskey Charlie 0 Oscar. Yeah, even if I speak a little bit louder, I don't see the needle move any higher. And again, I'm gonna have to test this later. I'm gonna have to put on my meter, and look at the gauge on the left and see, how high the gauge goes compared to how much output there is. But I hope this gives you an idea. If anybody says, "Oh, your voice sounds distorted or crackling, or you sound like there's an echo or something," it's possible you're overdriving the amplifier, the final amplifier, and your automatic level control can't seem to handle the high mic gain, or it's possible that your SWR is not tapped down and a lot of that power is just going back to the radio, which again might overheat your final amp or your RF gain final stage or something, final amplifier, which is important. So you got to keep that in mind as well. Not only the audio that's coming in, but also the audio that's coming out. I'll probably keep it, at around 40. I'll probably increase it a little more, depending on how my voice is at that time, I guess. In your situation, you're just gonna have to figure out, you balance it a bit. So that's about most of the ideas on, setting up your radio and getting it ready for the field, for field operations, right? In terms of listening to people and making sure all your settings are right, and also transmitting, right? There's probably one or two more things maybe that I haven't really discovered yet in transmitting and controlling perhaps that power, giving me a little more juice without distorting my voice. Definitely, if I find something like that, I'll definitely make another video. But if you have any questions, please put them in the comments. If there's something, some secret that that you like to share, that you might feel like it'll help this video, please put it in the comments section. We definitely have a community here that likes to read these comments. I read all of the comments, or try to, and then that helps me too. So hopefully this is helpful, useful. Please consider giving it a thumbs up, and please consider subscribing. Thank you very much for the opportunity to help you learn something. This is Frank, Whiskey Charlie 0 Oscar. Bye-bye.